All right, done with our second 8-hour stream. So we've done 16 hours of streaming on this so far. Bounce around doing a little bit of everything. I will put timestamps below so you can skip forward to things you care to hear about. Right. So we're going to cover everything I've gone through so far and give our quick opinions on it. As for factions, I haven't played Demons of Chaos at all. Online, they're kind of disabled. I also haven't played their campaign. Grand Cathay, I think they are very, 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 very fun. I enjoy them a lot. I love playing them. They have some serious line of sight jank, some issues with units like that, and they suffer from not having any anti-large cavalry, which is kind of a big deal in domination mode. It's part of the reason they're bad. Also, another reason they're bad is they get most of their damage through range stuff, which can struggle in domination mode. So in domination mode, they're shit. I think in land battles, they'll be fine. They're very fun. I like them. Khorne, very fun. Not having magic makes them unique, kind of like the dwarves in the previous game, whereas if you don't really care about magic and you're just trying to learn the game, you can play Khorne and get through everything super fast. And then learn magic later, right? So you get some of your other mechanics up to date. Khorne's roster is fun. Somehow it's not boring. You think that just running at people would not be very good. He doesn't have a lot of other counterplay or anything like that. He's good. He's fine. I am noticing on the negative side, on Domination, I pretty much only use these 3 units. Dogs, Furies, and Fleshhounds. That's pretty much it. Everything else doesn't get to the fight in time. Kislev. Very fun. Their meta online that I've seen really annoys me. I don't play it that way, but a lot of people have been just spamming heavy war sleds into me and kiting forever while you take the points. Then when you take the points, they'll do damage to you while kiting, and they'll get points that way, and then they'll get supplies that way, and then they'll get supplies for being behind as well, and then they'll summon a big army and get you. So I hate their meta, but it's more about domination more than them. They seem fine. They're unique. Everything's kind of a hybrid unit. They're cool. They're unbreakable. Passive doesn't seem that broken. It's pretty good. They're good. Their lures of magic are a little underwhelming. I've noticed they're kind of poop, but oh well. They're fine. I enjoy Kislev. Nurgle seems fine in land battles. He seems very weak in domination. He has a small roster, it feels like a really small roster. I think he's the worst of the 4 races as far as like finished product goes for the chaos races. He definitely feels like a sub faction. Kind of sucks, but he'll be okay in land battles. He seems to work. He's fine-ish. His lore of magic also feels like it kind of sucks. Ogre Kingdoms. Apparently they're broken. My friend and I have had troubles making them that good, but apparently there's a couple cheese units you can spam with them. Otherwise, they seem okay. They're better than I would have guessed they would be, just having big infantry all the time. But it's weird because the way that they're good is they fuck with like how the game usually works. So like, quote unquote, burning head or pendulum type effects wouldn't do that much against them for Warhammer 2. And similar here. So like AoE magic doesn't kill their infantry, which is okay. Like it's not a problem. It's just what makes them kind of good is that they can fuck with your traditional tactics. And they can also disable people's ability to do stuff. Like Khorne fights the Ogre Kingdoms just fine, but fighting ogres, you don't get any of your armor abilities very quickly because you don't get a lot of kills. So they seem fine. They seem fun. Their lores are okay. Slaanesh. Roster feels very small, but it actually feels good. Unlike Nurgles, it's just all speed and running around and hitting stuff, and that feels pretty cool if you're the one doing it. Seems okay. No range, just kind of cringe. Tzeentch. I played 1 game as them. I've played against them a few times. They don't seem like they're my cup of tea. They seem okay. They also seem kind of like Wood Elves, where it's just not my play style, and I bet that if people are going to be good at them, they're going to be annoying. Because the way to be good at them is harassing and really using that shield in the most toxic ways possible, and also just flying units and cheese and magic kiting. There's just nothing about this faction to me that sounds fun to interact with. So, not a big fan of Tzeentch. Those are my thoughts on the races initially. As for the game modes, Domination, not a huge fan of it personally. It's fine. It's fine. I have fun playing it. I just know I would have more fun playing anything else. Domination's fine. It feels like you're trying to play the game of Domination more than you're trying to do a battle, if that makes any sense. And people were hoping that control points would make things feel less gimmicky, but for me, they feel more gimmicky than ever. Like, there are times where you shouldn't kill your opponent because it hurts you. Killing your opponent will never matter because they can just spawn more and more infinite things. There are times where you shouldn't capture a point, and there are times where you shouldn't contest the capturing point. There are entire armies that are worthless just because they're slow, and then also things have different capture value, which makes sense on paper, but then like in practice, it's like, why are these dogs capturing this capture point when I have 3 monstrous infantry there? Oh, the dogs have more weight. Okay, but like if we really back up, if you said, who owns this plaza, and I had 3 units of rat ogres and you had a couple dogs, I think any sane person would say, the guy with all the fucking rat ogres. So I don't really agree with that. Also, I think it takes too long to unlock the points. Too long of a stretch before that. Land battles. I've only played a few. They still work. They're still fine. They're from the previous game. You've played them all your life. They're good. Totally fine. I think Cathay and Nurgle, while they are shit in Domination, work in land battles, so I will be curious to see how land battles go. That does segue into a different point that we will touch on later, but there's a reason I haven't played a lot of land battles. Minor settlement battles and siege battles. I've played them in campaign. I've played them a little bit online. So close to being good. So close to being perfect. In campaign, excellent. They're super great. They're super fun. Awesome. Amazing. Incredible. We'll get to campaign later. Online, they did it again. They did it again. CA will not let us set our own funds. You can go to custom funds, and if I do 5,000 on the funds, if I'm the host, if I'm the attackers, why do I have 0? Why do I have 0? All right, we're running into a bug in the middle of trying to tell you about the bugs. Okay, so defenders have 3,500. I have 5,000. If you set the funds to custom that much, you get that much. Defenders get 69,000. Whatever, right? It has, again, as with the last game, the reason sieges weren't viable last game is the ingrained algorithm is incorrect. This is not balanced between attackers and defenders at all. The amount of money is wrong. Like, there's just, it's not equivalent. Attackers have a significant advantage every game. Every game. And it kind of sucks, because it's like 22,000 versus 15,400. That's not, no, that's not a thing. We've played them, attacker always wins. God damn it. They're so close to being good. Just let us set the funds. For the love of God, when you say custom, just let us set the funds. You can have your stupid default that's wrong and dumb. Let us set the funds. Anyway. They're cool. I'll think of some things to run. Survival. We tried playing the Possible Fortress on hard, and it was the easiest thing we've ever done in our entire life. And then it also crashed most of the way through, so we didn't get to finish it. We got to the final boss, and then it crashed. Crashes again, we'll get to that in a second. Survival mode seems fun. It seems like a great time to have with your friends. I hope they bump up the difficulty a lot. Personally. Free-for-all, played one of them. They were fine. They're fun in Warhammer 2. They're fun now. And none of these matter. Now that thing I kept saying I'm going to bump off. The multiplayer doesn't work at all. There are so many bugs. CA knows about it. Turin had to cancel his first tournament of it. It's a bit of a disaster, and CA's done some things really well with this game. The multiplayer is just a disaster. As you can see, like, games are disappearing and appearing as I'm talking to you. It's not like they're getting full. It would show me full games, and even sometimes full games pop up. They're just here and they're gone. They're here and they're gone. And it's very hard to join someone's lobby, even if you know them, even if you're friends on their Steam with them, even if they send you the code, it's just a coin flip on whether or not you can get into the fucking game. And that's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. It has a bunch of survival mode, those crashes. Customization is great. I'll go back into a lobby real quick and show you that. When you pick a race, let's pick Tzeentch. You can pick different color schemes for your faction. That's awesome. That's incredible. Great. Love it. No complaints. It's perfect. Perfect. In the settings... Now, at day one, I was having problems with settings intentionally, like, changing back to the default and not to what I set them to. But in theory, the settings are super good. I've really liked the ability to change your own player color to whatever you want on a scale. So it could be purple if I wanted. It's very nice. Just give people more customization, more agency in their own armies. Very cool, very nice. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. The music has been great. The graphics have been really good. The maps, like, design, visually have been good. I don't know about balance-wise yet because I haven't played enough to really make an opinion on that. Bugs aside, bugs have been bugs. Campaigns. I've played Ogre's single player for a bit. Not in the late game yet at all. I'm still kind of in the early game, but that one's meh. It's fine. If you enjoyed Warhammer 2 campaigns, you'll like the Ogre campaign. It's just more of that. It's fine. The online campaigns, the co-op campaign, my friends and I on stream today were playing the Kislev one. Something Rotten Kislev. So the three of us are on a team. We got to play as all three of the Kislev lords and work together. That was incredible. I'll start off with the negative because it's overwhelmingly positive, and we'll get right to that. You start off fighting Nurgle a lot. Nurgle's kind of the least interactive army in this entire game to deal with. Like, he's just slow and tanky, and Kislev's not exactly a high damage faction. So a lot of fights can turn into a bit of a bump and grind. That's all negative I had to say. The rest was glowingly positive. We had awesome settlement battles. We had great siege battles together with some friends. Sieges were really, really fun when you divided up into like 3 armies and invaded something as like a cohesive unit. That was great. That was awesome. Capturing points was really cool. We had an epic, my friend Mr. Overlord was sieging Hell Pit, and he was kind of against the ropes in it, but we decided to take the fight anyway, and at one point we snuck some cavalry in the back to capture the point, and they fought to like the last man, holding off some clan rats that were trying to take it back. And as his army had like this big holdout in this plaza, we took enough victory points that it gave us the win, and all the Skaven routed. It was just awesome. It was like kind of the ending of some movie where you're like, but wouldn't they just keep fighting and like kill them all? And the person next to you is like, shut up, it makes a good movie, shut up. So we had that moment. We had a different moment where a bunch of Nurgle armies spawned, which was kind of bullshit that they just spawned like that, and it really came out of nowhere, but it did lead to Mr. and Mrs. Overlord, or Disgruntled Dryad, whatever you want to call her, having this really cool last stand back-to-back on this hill as the Nurgle army swarmed over them, and they killed like 95% of the armies, but they did lose. And then their tattered armies returned to their cities, but before Nurgle could show up and finish them off, my armies rode in because I was on the other side of a field, so I wasn't quite there yet. My armies rode in, wiped out the army between me and them, and then I helped Mr. Overlord finish off all the armies. And together, the three of us descended on the last city we needed to take. On the last turn, we could take it before we were going to lose the campaign. It was very epic. It was very fun. I think we kind of had near the perfect type of experience for that co-op. It was incredible. It was awesome. Simultaneous turns worked super smoothly. Everything was awesome. I have nothing but praise to say for the campaign I've experienced so far. Except for, like I said, that one thing of Nurgle's maybe not the best faction to fight in the early game 15 turns in a row. That's maybe not great, but the rest of it was awesome. Had a great time with that. I'm very, very curious if the Kislev single-player campaign is as interactive as the co-op, but Kislev had a lot of great features that the Ogres don't have. The Ogres felt like a Warhammer 2 campaign, while at least in co-op, the Kislev campaign had so many extra features that it felt actually like a unique, different beast entirely. So, closing thoughts. Should you buy this game? If you're still on the fence and you're watching this video and you don't know whether you should get Warhammer 3 or not. If you have friends that have Warhammer 3 and you want to play co-op campaigns, get it. If you have no campaigns left in Warhammer 2 and you have no Warhammer 2 content left to go through, get it. It's worth it. If you have campaigns you're finishing up in Warhammer 2, I would finish those first, because the bugs need to be worked out before multiplayer is really going to get going. So you at least have a week or two before they do that. Domination mode needs to kind of settle a little bit. The online needs to stabilize before we can even run land battles for Ent Ladder. Because we're on a hiatus anyway, but we couldn't launch if we wanted to with the servers being all fucked up like this. And the single-player campaign, again, it depends on who you're playing as, but my single-player campaign with the Ogres felt just like Warhammer 2. So, that's my answer. If you have stuff you're still doing in Warhammer 2, probably do that. If you're playing other games entirely, and you're wondering whether you should get it, I would say get it. I think it's fucking great. But, yeah. Overall, like, there's a lot of bugs, a lot of shit they need to work on. Their balancing for the online factions needs to be way improved. Campaign is excellent. Nothing but glowing reviews about the campaign. Online's kind of a disaster at the moment. Kind of. And, like, the factions are fun to play with. It's fun to play with all the new toys, but it's like the balancing really isn't there, and there's so many bugs, and like the online's just kind of fucked in a lot of ways. But yeah, so I'm reiterating my points at this juncture. So I'll let you all go, but that was just a quick, concise thing in case you haven't watched 2 different 8-hour streams in a row. All right, goodbye.